All right, we're all here. We're going to get started. We're not going to pray and pledge. We're just going to enjoy this wonderful presentation.
If it's okay with Nick, I was going to do, we have 3 little orders of business to do first.
Okay.
And so I'll get through those very quickly, and then we'll hand it off to Nick, and they can do the Team of 8 training. But the first little item of business is library purchases. We finally have a list. So thanks to Senate Bill 13, now you guys have to approve every little library purchase we make. And so the intermediate had their list posted for the required 30 days on the website. Surprise, surprise, no parents commented on any of it. And so now that we've done the required 30-day posting, we can bring it to you guys so she can finally buy it if y'all approve. So I recommend the board approve the list of materials as presented in your packet for library purchase.
May I make that motion?
Yes.
Second.
Did you read them
Mary
all?
Ann, and then second by, okay, all in favor? Linda Maxwell. Next.
Now this is a really good topic here.
Yeah.
Y'all need to
I like this
approve
one.
donated materials and labor so we get new baseball dugouts totally for free.
Oh.
Now listen, this is an expensive project, but we're getting it all donated to us. So the baseball program under Chase has received some very generous offers. Toby is going to be the one kind of spearheading and overseeing all of it, but there's 3 main donors, and here's what they're going to give. So TTG is going to donate demolishing the existing dugouts, and they're going to pour the slab. The slab will cost probably between $10,000 to $15,000, and they're just donating that. Then WIT Building Materials swoops in, and they'll donate all the materials related to the construction of the dugouts. That's probably going to be around $10,000 to $12,000 in supplies. And then finally, Bo Mayberry is the one that's going to donate all the labor needed to build the new dugouts, and that labor would normally cost around $6,000 to $7,000. But to properly begin this whole project and all the different steps, first we need to get board approval. So I would recommend that the board allow the district to receive these donated materials and labor so that the new baseball dugouts can be constructed very soon.
All right, Calvin has the motion. Who wants to second? All right, Charlie seconds. Anybody want to have a discussion? All in favor? Okay, next.
They even had little schematics in there for you.
We were gonna ask a question.
Yeah. Lloyd?
Y'all move fast.
Yeah.
No, actually, did you say 627 or 67?
627,000.
627. Okay.
That's what Toby thought. Typically that would be worth.
I see. Okay. Okay. Well, let me ask this one thing. If there are other donations, can they be applied to those contractors if they wanted it to go to the baseball field project?
Like if Joe Blow comes up and says, I want to paint the new
says,
dugouts.
hey, you guys are doing a deal. I want to be part of that.
I think with y'all's approval tonight, anything going forward, we will just approve. If y'all are good with that, does anybody have any objections to that?
I do.
So this motion was, we'll take any handout.
Yeah. So the motion will, it
Double
will,
if you insist.
yes.
My favorite nation, donation.
All right, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you see how much trouble you're going to have on Team of 8? We don't get along at all.
Yes, sir. We're here to get everything back.
All good friends.
Yes. So the third item is a quick personnel thing because I don't have the summertime hiring authority. When people come and go now, we need to get you guys to approve it. So I alerted y'all that 4th grade teacher Jeremiah Moyes was resigning. His last day was last Friday. So he said goodbye to all the kids so he could go back to his home in Utah. But long time, here's the good news, fully certified teacher Leanne Searcy is really excited about coming back this year and teaching, and she's already subbing right now with the kids. But if you approve her tonight, she would become the fully teacher of record tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Do I hear a motion?
The other, one last thing, the other thing also just to make y'all aware of, head varsity tennis coach Kylie Dixon, we talked about this, who also serves as the College and Career Connections teacher at the junior high. Her resignation will be this Friday, will be her last day. The backup plan for that, Wendell Jones takes tennis. He's been in the background here this year anyway. And then GJHS instructional aide Chase Cole will take over the teaching responsibilities. He's done that several times when a teacher has left. He's an aspiring teacher working on his degree. He's really good. The kids like him. So he's already going to swoop in there and start taking over that class after that.
Can he hang with you, Calvin?
Not ready.
So,
He's not even ready.
so my recommendation is the board approve Leanne Searcy as the new full-time 4th grade teacher replacing Jerry Moyes, and also accept the revised resignation date for Kylie Dixon.
Okay, do you have any questions?
No.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Oh, Calvin, you didn't get in. Okay, Linda makes the motion, Calvin second. All in favor? All right.
And that's all we needed Mackenzie here for. She was going to come and take notes. So she wants to go home.
Bye.
Oh, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be a part of the team?
Nick, you can have the computer, whatever you need to do up there.
Have some team alive.
You would have your dream team, sure.
Training.
I don't think so.
I think we have a clicker here.
Yes.
Let's just switch out.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we.
Okay, we're not gonna need our computers, are we?
I don't think so. You'll just look at what he's presenting up here. So.
Okay, so we can shut her down.
Take this right here.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what's on the screen, yes,
Yeah.
sir. And I'll take both of those.
We can see.
Just go right up there. We'll be good to go.
Perfect.
I'll just do these.
Did you take this type of power?
Oh, I thought that was 1/2 hour. Oh, 1 power, or is it not?
Do you have a round power cord or?
No, sir. But it shows the 20 minutes, so I think we're good to go.
Oh, good.
Yes, sir. No, we're good.
I'm not worried, I just want to.
Oh, we have our name on
Has
it.
early voting started?
No, next, wait, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Started
it's
on Monday.
in. When does it end? Friday?
It ends Friday. Friday's the last day to vote.
Yeah.
So is it at the usual,
Yeah, oh, yes, yeah, very much so. Thank you.
usual place?
All right, so everyone, I want to thank y'all for having us here again this evening. I know we were here, I think it was about this time last year for the ISO training, the evaluating and improving student outcomes. We have a sign-in sheet for tonight's Team of 8 training or team building. So last year ISO was Team of 8 combined with those two. This year is more of board discussion, board development, and we'll have some discussion points at any time. Feel free to interrupt us, anything you'd like to talk about. Yes,
Is there a
sir.
sign over here that says office
No,
use,
sir,
or
just initial.
it?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
just initial, and you only have to initial in one spot. Thanks for asking. So yeah, just one, it has many different boxes, but just initial next to your name. We'll be good to go. Nick West, I'm school finance, but then also field service for Region 12. So thanks again for having us. And I have with me tonight Dr. Parsons, or Dr. Mark Parsons. He's in our strategic leadership at the service center, but then is also a field service agent. So we both do different board trainings. We kind of partnered up a lot, a few times it seems like this fall, for many different types of trainings. And so with that, he's got some things he's going to fire up with you, including. He does a great job with his little icebreaker.
I'll
I've always
kick us
enjoyed
off,
it. That's
yeah.
why I included it in this one. Yes, sir.
Well, I'll kick us off for tonight. Thank y'all for allowing us to be here. Like Nick said, we enjoy getting to train together. One of them being Team of 8 training is tonight. Just for a few minutes sitting here in y'all's action items, we can tell that it does seem like you collaborate pretty well together. And so our goal tonight is just to focus on those roles and responsibilities of the superintendent and the governing board, remind that on an annual basis, and keep you guys in the statute on those things that we need to cover on an annual basis to keep us compliant. I got to visit with Miss Mary Ann a little bit while ago. We might even be related, so we're going to take a couple of minutes to try to learn each other a little bit more tonight. So here's our little introductory activity tonight.
Yes.
I'm going to go around the ring and ask you these questions so we can get to know each other in the room. It's really for me and Nick, and for us to share with us as well. Naming years of service on the board, and then think about what was your first job that you ever had, what was your worst job maybe you ever had, what was your favorite job, and then what did you learn from any one of those? What was your biggest takeaway? So I'll start and kick us off tonight, and then we'll go around the ring. So my name is Mark Parsons. As I was visiting with Miss Mary Ann earlier, I've been at the Service Center for January, it'll be 4 years. Prior to that, I was the superintendent at Itasca ISD on the north end of the region here. And I've been in education for about, I think this is year 23. So about 12 of those was football coach, athletic director, principal, and then superintendent. So my first job I ever had was when I was 14 years old. My dad said, Mark, you're going to want to drive in a couple of years, aren't you? And I said, yes, sir, I will. He goes, then you're going to want this thing called a job. And so he went down and put an ad in the local newspaper that simply said, 14-year-old boy wants work, call this number. And so for 2 years, I worked for a doctor in town, and anything he had on his to-do list so I could save up some money to help contribute to my first truck. So that was my first job. My worst job was probably at Stephen F. Austin State University, where I went to college. One of my summer jobs was helping clean out the dorm rooms. So me and some workers for the state would go side by side through some of those rooms and clean out and throw out mattresses. That was a learning experience. And then my favorite job was, I don't know, before I got into education, I would say probably my favorite job was there at Stephen F. Austin. For about 3 years, I worked at a sporting goods store. I printed t-shirts, built trophies, and I got to do something that I really enjoyed. I think what I learned more than anything else was you don't always have to be the smartest one in the room, but with good work ethic and dedication, you can do just about anything. So anyway, that's a little bit about myself. Dr. Pollard, I'll start with you and we'll go around the room.
Okay. Well, Barrett Pollard, years of service. I think, Mark, I've had 23 years as well. And the first real job was probably that chemistry teaching job at Colleen, but I had other summertime jobs like hay hauling and things like that. I remember one summer I spent helping my parents remodel their house with Steve Pierce's building crew. And that was a long summer. And so anyway, I wouldn't say I've had a really bad job as far as one that I just absolutely hated. There were some tough ones. I remember working at Sylvan. After I'd get done teaching all day, I'd race to clean to tutor kids at night to make a little extra money. $10 an hour. I thought I was really doing something. And favorite job, gosh, that's tough. I was thinking about being principal today. That might have been my favorite role because you're still pretty close to all the kids. And one of my fifth graders is getting married this weekend. And
awesome.
Last time when I was around him, he was 10. Now he's 27 and about to get married. And so those were fun times being a principal.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yes, sir.
Well, my name is Charles Ament. I was born and raised here in Gatesville. And soon after we got married, my wife and I discovered that to make our house payment, we were going to have to do extra jobs. Like most of us. Our house cost us a whopping $29,500. But my first year income was $6,800 a year. So, isn't that weird? That was back in 1975. So I took a job at this place on the Drag in Austin. I was a UT student called the Toggery, Toggery, and it was a men's clothing store. It was the worst job I've ever had in my life because I sold shoes.
Oh, man.
You can imagine the kinds of feet that I looked at. Trying to put they would be in there. The shoes were like really, really expensive.
Yeah.
And these poor kids didn't have that kind of money, but they'd come in try on those shoes, and all day long of that I hated it. My favorite job was in the classroom. LBJ High School, I was there 8 years as the choral director, and that was my very favorite job.
Awesome.
I loved all of them, but that was really fun.
Yes, sir. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome.
Charles Alderson. I guess this is my 8th year on the board, but I like to tell the story that I've served education for 57 years. And I started in 1968, but my base pay was $4,800.
I got rich after you.
$2,400 for coaching, so I started out at $5,200 that first year.
Wow.
And I don't know. That was my first job, and then the worst job was when I was teaching and coaching at Brady. It was too political on the board. I was asked to leave, needless to say, as a basket coach. But we did go into 5 overtimes.
Oh, wow.
Against Burnett and won right at the buzzer. So that was a good one. And I really enjoyed the, I guess about 10 years assistant principal here at high school. And they also had me teaching classes back in, and I really enjoyed teaching accounting.
Oh, okay.
I enjoyed that class.
Yes, sir.
So
Thank you for sharing.
it's been a good run.
Yep.
Good. Thank
How
you.
many years?
57 in public education. And I'm counting this as in public education. Yeah, 57 years, I think.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm Mary Ann Lieb. I've been on the board for 21 and a half years.
Wow.
And I'm gonna count the half.
Yeah.
But my first job was with the YMCA in Plano. I was a day camp counselor and I helped teach swimming lessons. So it was fun. But I did learn the value of $1 at that point because I think I made $1 an hour.
I earned every bit of it.
Yeah, it was fun though, you know, one of those things. But my worst job in high school, I worked at a pharmacy. I was a soda jerk. They had a little ice cream deal there and sandwiches and stuff. And I learned more that summer about people than I think I ever did. When you're in the food industry business and you're a wait staff, my heart gives. I am a good patient.
Good tipper.
I am a good tipper, and I like to have waitresses and or servers these days. I treat them very nicely. You can get whatever you want if you're nice. You know, you don't have to be mean when you're in a restaurant. But the worst part about it was people were just ugly. And I don't know why, but I learned a lot about people, and everybody should do it. Every kid growing up should work in a restaurant, I think. So you learn what the other side comes with. My favorite job, probably when I taught first grade. I did that for 8 years, and when the light turns on and they know what the word is and they can read a whole sentence. Of course, it was probably like kindergarten now, but it was a joy, and I felt like, you know, I kind of helped that kid learn. But a lot of them come and you don't have to do much. They already know what they're doing. But anyway, that was fun times.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Cheyenne, and I believe this is my 9th year. I counted it up. I think that's right. My first job was in college. I cleaned houses, and I enjoyed it. It was mostly for family. They're fairly clean people, you know, and they paid well because they loved me. So what was my worst job? It really wasn't that bad. I'm a hygienist, and so my first 2 years I worked in an office over in Temple, and really the only thing bad about it was they were so production oriented, and I'm more family oriented. You know, it's like you feel like you're taking people's grocery money when they're wanting to do treatment. Anyway, and then my favorite job, I mean, really there's only been 2. So I guess I've loved hygiene. This is my 21st year. This next year will be 22. And it's been good. It's been really good to me. I have a ministry on the side and I love that, but I don't know, I've connected with these people in my chair, and I really, honestly, I cried this week because one of them passed away. Like, I love them. So what have I learned? I've learned that some of the most important things come from unexpected people. I have learned some of the coolest things from the people in my chair, like gardening and valuable lessons. Like, I have some people that have helped me be a better parent in my chair. They're just amazing. And I truly enjoy connecting with people and meeting new people. So I've learned that from my career.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes,
Can I
sir.
Can I put in a second?
Yes, ma'am.
Being one of those people in your chair, you're really nice to everybody too.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
We've gotten to know each other better in my chair.
I'd like to add that Cheyenne was one of my students in high school, as well as Calvin. I worked with Linda's husband coaching for several years, and Lloyd was one of my accounting students.
Really? And I know what he learned. He learned how to work the Rubik's Cube. We all did.
All
that year.
Yes, sir.
My name is Calvin, and I think this is my 5th year, if I'm not mistaken. My first job was at the old HEB when it was facing this way. I just loved it because I love working with people and talking and interacting with people. What was my worst job is just the one that after I retired, is that car salesman, because I worked with the worst person I ever worked in my entire, everyone else was nice, but he was the meanest, hateful person I've ever, Lord knows if I would curse someone out, I would have, but I thank God I knew who Jesus was. That I did not. I let it go. And, what was my favorite job? I had so many jobs. I loved every bit of them. I worked as a Boys and Girls Club director. I worked as a gang specialist, volunteer for those. I worked for, and then I worked at Marydale, working with behavioral kids that were, I mean, just awful, but loved every one of them. And now I'm just on the side, I'm subbing, and I even subbed for a kindergarten class, and I never hugged so many kids. And it was just experience of a lifetime. I was like, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? But they were great little kids. Why and what did you learn? I just learned to love people and accept people as they are. People are people, and there's gonna be some people in your life that are just gonna be mean and whatever, but you gotta love them anyway. And I just learned how to love. I learned that from my mom, because she said, you know, she loved everybody. There ain't nothing they can do about it. Whether I'm not responsible how they treat me, but I'm responsible how I treat them.
Awesome, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Linda Maxwell. I taught for 33 years, subbed for 12, been on the board for 11. You know. And my first job was, my grandfather was the athletic director, so he got me this great job printing the football program on the purple ink.
Purple ink.
Oh, it was terrible. And that's probably the worst job. It's all purple all over me.
So is purple your favorite color?
No, not at all. My favorite job was, I don't know how to break them apart, was working for Charles Amen, teaching 3rd, 4th grade, and especially the year he let me go from 3rd to 4th grade and keep the same kids. That was the most wonderful experience I had all the years of teaching. And what did I learn from working under Amen at intermediate? I learned the joys and the productivity of working together as a total family.
That's awesome.
I forgot to add that he was my principal and he was mean to me. He was mean. We called it, his nickname was Tuna. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, Ms. Maxwell, for sharing. Yes, sir.
Before I say, I would like to say that Carrie, that was her favorite year, is the year she moved with the students.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, and she also, my wife worked with Mr. Amen for him.
Oh, okay. Yes,
I'm
sir.
Lloyd Hobson, and my first job was about 10 years old, shredding maize stalks and raking hay. But because we grew up on the farm. But
Yes.
my first real job was the Gulf station down here. I pumped gas and fixed tires and cleaned windows. That was my first real job, I guess. And then, like Mr. Amen, I sold shoes in college at Kenny's shoe store. And he is not lying about that. And so that was probably my least favorite job of all.
Yes.
And my favorite job, though, was also in college, and it was for a furniture repair company. And I think that the reason I liked it so much was because the guy that I worked with was, he was very good about helping you learn something. And so I worked there about 1.5 years before I graduated, but that set me on a path where I was able to start my own cabinet business, and I built cabinets for 20-something years, and I really enjoyed that. And so I guess what I learned is just, you know, spend some time to teach somebody something, and maybe it'll help them later in life. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. We're going to wrap up with Nick here. I'm not going to let him get off the hook.
I'm former superintendent at Dimebox. I think I discussed that with you all last time. I'm getting just under 20 years in education
school is
myself. Dimebox, little 1A, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's halfway between Austin and College Station. In fact,
Yeah.
when A&M and Texas played last year, they made a big deal about Giddings, and they had some people that actually, I knew the people they interviewed. If you go back and watch College Game Day, I knew who they were interviewing. But Giddings is not halfway between College Station and Austin. Everybody sees Time Box, but there's 3 convenience stores there, so it was a little bit harder for them to find people to interview. So they went to the lumber yard actually in Giddings to do that. My first job, I grew up in Houston, actually in northwest Houston in Cy-Fair. In Cy-Fair Independent School District. So when I was 14, we got rooked into, that was back when the solar screens were a big deal, and hanging flyers on people's, roll up the flyer much like I have this right here, put it in somebody's door and just walk streets all through Klein Oak neighborhoods. My worst job, and this kind of goes exactly what you're saying about the restaurant, I worked in rental cars. So yeah, I did actually do that on the backside of college. The stories, it's easiest is the Seinfeld thing where, you take the reservation, you don't have the car. I remember Thanksgiving as it comes around, I'm reminded of this every Thanksgiving. We had 35 reservations and 3 cars when the morning started that day, and how do you make that work and stuff like that. So, but it also goes to exactly what you're saying as well. This has paid off many times. It's going to work out. Just be kind. It's amazing. It's actually worked out for my family and I when we travel. Just kindness when you're at a restaurant, anything else like that. Because yes, if you've been in the service industry and you've worked through things that are outside of your control, and you're trying to deal with someone that's has the assumption that it's under your control, but you work through that. If somebody's having a tough day at work, or it's just they're dealing with an impossible situation, being kind to them, you learn that. You do in the service industry. Favorite job, actually, first year I ever taught. And what was good about it is good years, bad years, everybody in education, you've had those tough years, you've had good, bad, whatever. It was always something that centered me. I actually started off in education at a Catholic school. It was a junior high. I coached baseball in the spring, did junior high football in the fall, taught 2 sections of 8th grade history, 2 sections of 7th grade history, and 2 sections of 6th grade history, and loved every minute of it. And so from then on, I don't think I ever had a better year of teaching, honestly, than that first year. And so it just, it's sprung me in so many different ways in education I never thought were possible. And so, yeah, that's exactly what it mattered to me a whole lot.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for taking this opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit better. You probably knew about everyone else already in here, but maybe you learned something you didn't quite know, or that you haven't shared about in a while. And that's kind of the basis for tonight, is to make sure that we feel like we have an opportunity to communicate as a team of 8. We know who we're sitting around and making decisions with, so we can do that in the best interest of students. Nick, I try to click on that. I don't know if we have internet or not. I don't necessarily think we have to get into it. We're going to talk about it. There's 2 main things that we need to do annually when we do your team building training. That's talk about the requirements for school board members. In other words, what do you have to have on your annual training requirements? And then the school board framework. So we're going to just talk about this. If you were to go on the TEA website or simply put in a Google search, school board training requirements in the state of Texas, there is going to be a matrix or a chart, if you will, about what you have to stay compliant as a school board member. Tonight's team building activity is an annual requirement. Nick talked about coming out last year and doing the ISO training, and that's the acronym of EISO, which stands for Evaluating and Improving Student Outcomes. They came out of the 87th legislative session, maybe, or the 86th, Senate Bill 1566. You do that every 2 years, all right? You also do a legislative update every year after a legislative session, which is this year. So many of you may have already participated in a legislative update. And then there's those things that you do when you become a board member. You did probably a local orientation with the superintendent to learn about local policies and the board operating procedures that you function with here in Gatesville ISD. And then there's other annual things like cybersecurity training, sexual harassment training. All of those are annual. You may do them in an online class platform that you do, EduHero or whatever. And then annually, as a school board member, you need 5 hours of anything else that falls under that school governance umbrella. And if you are a first year member, you would actually need 10 hours. Just make sure that you're staying on compliance on that. The question is, well, whatever happens if we don't have all those hours? Well, there is no school board police that comes down from TEA and scolds you or anything like that. But what is the measure that you use to stay up on that? Does anybody know? What's the practice that happens? The month prior to elections, you're required publicly to report out who's compliant with their hours or not. So you're staying in compliance to your community, to the public, as they get ready to go into the voting booth. So that's the requirement for compliance there. Any questions? I figure most of y'all sound like you've been on the board for a while, and that's annual regular practice for you guys. The second part that we want to make sure that we cover tonight is the framework for school board development. Now, Nick just handed you out a handout for that, or an excerpt, so we will take 5 or 10 minutes to look at the framework to make ourselves familiar with it again. It states there on the top page, I will not read the whole thing to you, but we're going to have a little bit of open discussion. It says the framework for school board development outlines essential components needed to provide local educational programs and services to promote student academic achievement. This was initially adopted by the State Board of Education back in '96, and the framework was first updated in 2012. Now in 2020, the State Board of Ed began the work of updating the framework. This process includes 4 meetings of the ad hoc committee, as well as 2 meetings of the community school initiatives. Just kind of telling you how it was developed. Would somebody be willing to read that opening paragraph of the preamble for us tonight?
I'll read it.
All right.
The mission of the public education system of this state is to ensure that all Texas children have access to a quality education that enables them to achieve their potential and fully participate now and in the future in the social, economic, and educational opportunities of our state and nation.
Awesome. And then it goes on to say, Board of Trustees is the governing body for Texas public schools. The Board of Trustees is. To effectively meet the challenges of public ed, school boards and superintendents must function together as a governance leadership team. We commonly refer to that as Team of 8. I've heard that tonight already. Each leadership team will annually assess its development needs, both as a corporate body, collectively, right, and as individuals, which will be the theme for tonight. As a team, they will focus on the improvement of locally developed student outcomes and provide support for opportunities and experiences through vision and goals, systems and processes, progresses and accountability, advocacy and engagement, and synergy and teamwork. So you'll note those are the 5 pieces of the framework we'll talk about tonight. And in the final couple of sentences, it says that teams ensure that their districts provide equitable and effective educational programs and services for all students. And that's the key we always remember as a governing board, for all students. The framework for school board development has been approved by the State Board of Education to provide the critical areas of development for all public school boards. So we identified those 5 areas of the framework in those last few sentences. They are in Roman numerals there on the next subsequent pages. It's vision and goals, systems and processes, progress and accountability, advocacy and engagement, and synergy and teamwork. So I'm going to give you a little 3-minute activity here as a team. What I'd like for you to do is, and that you don't necessarily all have to start in the same spot for us to cover it. Pick one of the pieces of the framework, one of the Roman numeral areas there, and I want you to go through there with your pen or a pencil, and I want you to think for the next 3 to 4 minutes as you read some of those items identified in those areas. What are some things that you feel as a board we are doing well in at Gatesville ISD? What are we doing well? What are we succeeding at? And then maybe what are some areas that we can continue to grow in? Use a plus for the things we're doing well and maybe just a minus next to the things we can continue to seek growth in. Take 3 to 4 minutes and then we'll just share out.
good. Looking at a lot. Taking notes and say, this is where that those sentence strips. What rules of I'm confused. That's a long way. I didn't really get notes.
We'll take about 2 more minutes, about 2 more minutes. What are we doing well? Or can we continue to grow in? All right, I'm gonna pick on some of y'all across the room, and as long as y'all are okay with that, kick us off. Let's start with things that we think we are excelling at or doing well, whether here recently or for several years. One of the things that we can identify as, hey, this is something we feel that we do good here in Gatesville. Mr. Ament, would you like to start us off?
Well, I picked advocacy and engagement, and I didn't find any of the bulletins that we were weak in. As the board president, it's a delightful experience to be working with a group of people that are as professional as we have here. 2 of the places that I highlighted is the third one down, ensures multiple forms of two-way communication to engage and empower students, families, and staff. Our superintendent has initiated a program where he recognizes students and people that are on our staff, each board meeting, for outstanding contributions. And that has really promoted a lot of positive energy in the community. I know that people, it's always published in the local newspaper, and some people literally go to the store to buy the local newspaper because they want to see the pictures of all these things in here. And that's something that the board supports. And the other thing is communicating with our community. We have a bond election that we're going to set coming up, and we've gone to great lengths to figure out exactly what we need to do to prepare our community as they go into the voting booth. And we were very, very, very careful as a board to not overwhelm the community with things that, you know, the choices that they might want to question. We've pared those down. We've had meetings with the architectures. We've had meetings, and now we're about to have community meetings with groups of people to share why we need what we need and what we're doing. And this board absolutely goes right along with all of that and helps develop it. So I think the bond will be overwhelmingly approved.
Awesome.
Because of those things.
Has it been a while since y'all called one?
We have a really, really state-of-the-art elementary school over across the way. That was the last huge bond. Then we had a renovation at the high school, and the community was extremely proud of the fact that we were able to foot a lot of that bill ourselves because we're very, very careful about our fund balance. We're one of the few schools in our region that are in the black. We've been in the black ever since I've been here, and this is my 27th year. And we don't intend to go in the red because of this bond issue.
Yes, sir.
So those are the kinds of things that really, really stand out in the
Stand out as a strength. I find it interesting, I heard you talk about the local newspaper. Is that still a very strong medium for communication in this community? All right. That's interesting because we've kind of seen that died off in some communities.
Not here.
Not here. Awesome. Any other strengths somebody wants to point out?
In this, on this particular
No,
thing?
anywhere that you found a strength that, yes ma'am.
On the second one, systems and processes near the end, the second one ensures the district, adopts a protocol regarding the recruitment, determination of professional development leads, building of leadership capacity and retention rates for the district's teachers. Well, what I really want to say is that we have a grow your own kind of thing where if a young man or woman wants to go into education, we help with their college, we give them some money and they come back, and and have to work here.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit more about that. That is very much a strength.
3 years?
5 years, I
5
think.
years,
Yeah,
okay.
we partnered with Temple College, CTC, and Texas A&M Central Texas. And so for the people in the program, we contribute a little bit each semester. The college contributes a little bit, and they're already very affordable places to go to school.
Right.
And so then once the person gets done, they come back and they work here for 5 years to work it off, basically.
Correct. So there's skin in the game on both
Right,
sides.
yeah.
Awesome. But that opportunity is there.
Yeah.
And to stay in the community and in the district.
Yeah.
That is very much a strength.
And once those students are here, or other teachers, I just need to compliment our superintendent. He, if a teacher is having an issue, a problem, and he will do his darndest to get help. He doesn't want to throw people out if there's something that could be worked on and
Sure.
improved. So I give him a lot of admiration, and
Sure.
he's a good guy, and we're glad he's here.
Yeah. Continued growth, right? Just because we're teaching and got a certificate doesn't mean we know everything. There's
True.
still room to grow for a long time. I'm learning something new every day still. Last call, one last strength that we want to point out before we look for opportunities of growth. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Maxwell.
Under synergy.
Synergy.
The next to the last one, understand and adheres to the laws and policies and respects the superintendent's responsibility to manage the district.
I heard you put emphasis on that last part of the sentence.
Right.
Tell me more about that.
Well, we're really proud of our superintendent, and he's earned all of our trust, and, you know, he's keeps us informed. That way we're not in the dark of what's going on, and but we allow him to run his school district and to direct employees in the district as he sees fit.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing. All right. Let's flip the switch a little bit. Those were all some great things and strengths, and we always want to highlight those. But we also, like we talk about, there's always areas to continue to grow and improve on. What are some areas that maybe we can identify and say, hey, we need to work on that maybe a little bit? And that, again, it's not necessarily a negative.
I'm probably I know I'm the newest one on the board, but since I've been here, I was sharing with somebody the other day about that I don't feel like I've had to take a stance for anything that I believe in that hasn't already happened. You know, I think that we're all together, and so being new on the board, I can't really give you an example of what we need to work on, because I've been happy with the way things have come out for the last, this is my 3rd year. So,
Yes.
yeah, so I really, maybe some things happened in the past, but you know, I haven't had to stand up for something that I really believe in and say,
Yes.
no, that's not right, because we've worked together so well.
Awesome.
That's not really a
There was
negative that you're asking for, but I'm just
No,
saying,
but it's
I don't
all
know
good.
any.
That's all valued
Yeah.
feedback to the conversation. Yes, ma'am, Scott.
I mean, there was a time that I literally would turn Joel Osteen on my way to these meetings because it was so bad. I was like, I gotta have a little positive before I get there. Not lying, that's the truth. But that's not the case. Barrett is honest. He has skin in the game with his kids. Like the level of trust for him and our, oh my gosh, finance.
Oh, Leanne.
Leanne, thank you. Like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I don't worry about the decisions behind the scenes. So, I mean, like, I literally, when you said do this, I'm looking, I mean, because a lot of these we already do. So I'm literally looking for things in this list of things we can work on, because I went for the negative. And there's really, I don't want to say there's nothing we can work on, because there's always something we can work on. But there's definitely nothing in here that jumps out like, whew, we got a problem there. Because I've even bragged on the fact that you set us around the table, we're gonna find something eventually we disagree on. Like, that's just life.
Sure.
But when it comes to these kids, we definitely all are in unity about keep the district focused on the well-being of all children, not just one, but all. And I feel like that unity amongst us helps with all of our decisions and and just the respect for each other.
Y'all are
That's
really
it.
making this team of 8 training hard on us. I'm
That's-
just
yeah.
kidding.
I mean, like, I
I'm
really do.
just
I tell people all the time, I'm like, I know that at the end of the day, I probably wouldn't agree on everything with us,
Sure.
but man, I respect this team.
Well, I appreciate
It's
that.
amazing.
So let me flip it just a second to the leader of the district, Dr. Pollard. If this were a self-reflection activity, what might you say? Hey, as we look at these pillars and the framework for board governance, what do you identify as maybe an area we can continue to work on? Is that a fair question?
Yes, it is. I was kind of like Cheyenne though. The thing that I tell people most commonly is that the school board here is really how government's supposed to work. Like, you look at the national scene and the state level scene and, you know, the government shutdown and the horrible fighting between, you know, we have people on the board politically that lean left and right. It's about half and half, I'd say. And they always come together in the middle to make a really good decision. They never get into big hoopla arguments. It's always very cordial, but it always comes to a very sane and common sense type decision. And I feel like that's the way it's supposed to work at the state and national level, but we don't see it. You know, there it's so polarized and so horrible, and they fight. But here I've been really proud of them because and it's good that there is a balance. I really do. I think it's good that there's a balance.
Absolutely. Helps us see from more perspectives than just our own.
I'm
One,
also- oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, and it involves you, it's a compliment to y'all. I tell people all the time, like, every board should have somebody that's retired from teaching. Because I'm not saying that it necessarily needs to be, you know, I mean, like, we're heavy in that. But it doesn't have to be that, but every board would benefit from having somebody that was in education, because they bring stuff to the table, all of them, that is just so good. It's really good. That's,
I wish there was a way that the community could understand the importance of and the beauty of having a board that works together. Because all of us that are sitting at this table have experienced situations where this board was not like this. And when a person runs for board, you don't always get a really true picture of what it is that they're seeking, or if they have an agenda, or if they have some kind of anger or something they want to take out on somebody. And we've had people on this board that have been that way before, no names to be mentioned. And so we're kind of in one of those situations where I know it's not going to always be this way, because life is just not always that way.
You're on a peak,
We're on a peak. We all go to the convention. We all share what we learned at the convention. If someone comes in here to complain, this will be my 7th year on the board, and twice in 7 years has anyone even addressed the board with a complaint. But if we had complaints, I think we would treat the people, you know, wonderfully. And I just wish people could understand how well we work as a team.
Well, that's awesome.
I don't know how we would make that without bragging on ourselves. But,
You know,
like, we have a board election coming up, and one of our current board members is leaving us, and we're grieving that. But we're very, very kind of protective of who we want to.
Who you bring in the fold?
Yeah, so I think in a very quiet way, people in the town know who we want and who we don't.
Before you go, make
So quiet about it.
To add to that, you can see how the school system is going by the number of board candidates that's running for the school board. Because this year, there's 2 seats available, we have 3 running. Last year, Ms. Maxwell and I there was 2 seats, no one opposed us. And when Ms. Maxwell and I got on, I think there were 15 candidates running that year. So, that tells me a lot.
Yes, sir.
The community is happy.
Yeah, sounds like Ms. Ford.
it's very interesting because I happen to go, how all of us get along so well and the differences, but we come together. I was fortunate to go to the last month or two, go to the meetings we have of our commissioner's court. Is the commissioner's court? oh my gosh, it is absolutely war in there. With the community upset with them, they're mad, and I'm like, we don't have that problem because there's a lot of mistrust between the.
But what are the issues that people are upset with? Communication,
Lack of transparency.
transparency, letting everybody know exactly why they're voting a certain way,
Taxes.
and
Money.
concerns about
Finances.
different people on the board looking out for their own interests and not the interest of the county as a whole.
Right.
So if we were in that position, that would be areas that I would say as a board member we need to work on. Fortunately, we're not.
Well, and we appreciate all of that feedback, and the purpose of that conversation is self-reflection as a board. Where do we feel that we are? Where do we feel like we want to go? And it sounds like currently that y'all are on a great peak right now and trying to build off that for the next subsequent years and potentially the new members that you add to your team. So thank you for that conversation. I'm going to keep it going along right here as we move into the next slides. Here's a question that you pose anytime that you do a team of 8 or a team building training, and it's, why are we doing this at all? Well, the purpose of team building is to enhance the effectiveness, and we've talked about this several times, the board superintendent team, and to assess the continuing education needs of the board superintendent. We did that by talking about the annual trainings a little bit earlier. If we talk about the powers and duties of the trustees, it says that a district is governed by a board of trustees who, as a body corporate, meaning collectively, not necessarily just as an individual, shall oversee the management of the district and ensure that the superintendent implements and monitors procedures, programs, and systems to achieve appropriate, clearly defined, and desired results in major areas of the district. That comes directly from the Education Code, and it's written in BAA legal, so it is in statute. We've talked about elections a little bit tonight and future candidates, and when that individual runs to be a member of the board, they run as an individual, and they're elected as an individual person to fill an individual seat, right? But they become part of a team collectively. They are one of 7 board members and one of 8 on the overall superintendent governing board team. We're going to transition a little bit and talk about board ethics. And as that new person comes in, or you on your first time to the board, you may have to stop and think and ask yourself, because you think you're going into knowing what being a board member is, and you have to stop and maybe think, ooh, what promises have maybe I already made out into the community, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the power of a trustee a little bit. A trustee has power as a trustee only when participating in a legally called board meeting, not down at the Pizza Hut, or not Friday night at the football game, or in the church on Sunday, right? When we're having conversation out in the parking lot, it's only in a legally called board meeting. If not, we get in trouble when we've had 4 more of us together in the parking lot and we get into a walking quorum situation. That's not good either. Right? Here's a statement from one of our old deputy commissioners. It's really profound if you think about it. And in this instance, in this board, we've got some of those educational background folks. But in many cases, we don't, like we talked about, Ms. Kaiser. It would be that the school board is not necessarily the educational expert, although we have many people here that have an educational background. And the superintendent, in most cases, is not the expert on the community and values and the expectations. And so, because they're not the expert in both, they need each other to be successful, to serve the community and the children of that community. In your BBF local, you have the guidelines from the Texas Association of School Boards on the different areas for codes of ethics. And I pulled this from your own website today in BBF local, and it talks about these different 6 attributes in regards to ethics for school board members. It talks about equity and attitude, trustworthiness and stewardship, honor and conduct, integrity of character, commitment to serve, and student-centered focus. When you think about equity and attitude, what comes to mind as a school board member? What does that phrase equity and attitude mean to y'all? Anybody, just holler out.
Treat everybody the same.
Treat everybody the same. I've heard tonight about honoring and listening to different perspectives. mutual respect for others. I've heard Dr. Pollard talking about finding that spot in the middle, no matter which side that you come from, right? What about trustworthiness and stewardship? What does that mean? Trustworthiness and stewardship.
Well, I think part of that's respecting other board members' beliefs.
Okay, respecting other board members' beliefs.
I was thinking more on the financial side of things, like stewardship, that we can trust that everybody's has the district's best interest
Yeah,
in stewarding the money of the district.
and showing the public that you're good
Yes.
stewards of those finances as well, right? They are aligning those funds to student outcomes, right? What about honor and conduct? How do you, as a board member, serve in the areas of honor and conduct?
Well, I think that's one of the areas that gets us elected, is that people know us in the community.
Yeah,
They know the roles that we've had in various activities throughout the years that we've been in the community. And I think that the community, when they go to the voting box, look for people that they can trust and honor because of their honor and commitment.
Right,
And that's
absolutely.
why you see these people here.
absolutely. It probably dictates the level of your campaign that you have to run, or lack thereof, because of the honor and conduct that you've exhibited prior to, right? What about, and that probably goes in line with integrity and character as well, right?
The other situation is we happen to be in a situation here in Gatesville where everybody really knows everybody. And if somebody that would be of questionable trustworthiness of character, they wouldn't scratch.
They wouldn't make it very far in the process.
Plus there's Facebook.
Now, I'm not talking about somebody that has an extremely different opinion about that.
Sure.
True.
You know, honor and conduct, we don't all go out and act stupid in public. You know, I don't know what they do at home, but in public,
Right.
we don't all go out and act stupid. And so I think the way you conduct yourself, you know, whether you're at the grocery store, or the car wash, or whatever.
You're absolutely
Football
right.
game.
You're absolutely right, yeah, or in the gym, yeah, absolutely right. Oh, I used to hate administrating a basketball game. Everybody gets in that gym and they just lose their mind,
They do.
right? But you're exactly right. I used to tell our board members when I got to be a part of a team of 8 as a superintendent is, you know, sometimes they would get upset because they're like, well, I just wanted to go talk to a teacher and I'm acting as a parent. I'm like, I understand that. We get that. But I said, once you become a board member, you may wear several hats. You might be a mom. You might be a deacon at the church. You might work at the car lot in town. I said, and you might be a board member. That's a lot of hats. I said, but you better understand the biggest hat that people are going to see from here on out is they know that you're a board member. And it kind of encompasses the rest of those. And whether it's fair or not, once you represent the school, they know that. And your conduct outside of there is going to carry you. Good, bad, or indifferent. You're exactly right. Commitment to service. What does that mean as a board member when you hear that? Commitment to service. Who are you serving?
Well, we're real focused on providing for each child's needs, regardless.
Goes back to what we said, that phrase earlier, all students. Right? Yes, sir, Mr. Ford.
I'm always doing what's best for kids.
Plain and simple, right? Doing what's plain for kids. If you can align your decisions to that and your resources to that, then you're following your vision, you're following your mission, right? And then lastly, that goes with the last attribute, student-centered, having a student-centered focus. So I will leave you with this last couple of slides before I turn it over with Nick. Talking about the board and superintendent relationship. We must function as a complete unit, focus on how they can complement each other, acknowledge the superintendent as the chief executive officer, which I think is pretty clear cut here tonight, acknowledge the board as the hiring agent and the evaluator of the superintendent, creating a climate for the entire school system, providing an exciting and thriving learning environment for both the teachers and the students. Because if the teachers aren't happy and working well, that trickles right down to the students, right? Develop a collaborative relationship also with the community. This is one of my favorite images. I took it from a TASB workshop several years ago. This is known as the governance clock. and it talks about how the board and the superintendent operate with each other. Okay? The governance clock starts at 12 o'clock with clear goals that are aligned to the current realities of students and the vision of the school. So we start at the top. The board, in the top half of the clock, determines what needs to be done in the district. They set goals, they establish a vision, they adopt policy from TASB and what's going to be carried out in the Blue Book, right? And then as we go from 12 o'clock into 3, and we have all of those guiding documents and what needs to be done in the district, the baton kind of gets handed off to the superintendent, right? And then they develop plans built on that policy. Then they start implementing the plans with the leadership team. And we start monitoring progress. And as the clock comes back around to 9 o'clock, the board, back in their governance role, starts evaluating the results of the plans that the superintendent put into effect. So we come back and we reflect and we say the board establishes the what needs to happen in Gatesville ISD, while the superintendent and his administrative team determines how that what is going to take action. But what's interesting here and that we cannot remember is that collectively we're determining that why we do what we do and how we do things best for the students here. If we compare the responsibilities between the board and the superintendent, in the last conversation I want to have with you, we can look at it in comparison as the board governs and the superintendent manages the day-to-day, right? The board oversees, but the superintendent puts into action and implements. The board guides and directs, while the superintendent operates. The board represents the public interest, but the superintendent acts in the public interest. And again, the board decides the what, while the superintendent decides the how. We're going to transition a little bit, and Nick is going to discuss a little bit deeper tonight about the board meetings and how they function.
Yep, so just some review of some points or topics as far as relating to board meetings, just some different things that you've probably seen in the slides. You can kind of see, if you haven't already picked up on different ways that we could go with Team of 8 training, but so many of these things, as you all pointed out, are strengths for you all. And my daughter's actually Red Robinson, so I come across Gatesville quite often at the different games. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I'll be there Friday night at the game. My daughter's in 8th grade, but to highlight just some things that you're talking about, the support of students and everything. I mean, I was at the band competition, and Den, as an 8th grader, she was able to participate, but I always enjoy interacting and seeing what you all are doing with your district. We were here for cross country. I even talked to Dr. Pollard how well that was, how well your coaches did with that meet. It was extremely well supported, just extremely well ran. You can just see the support behind that, and I see that every time I'm in your district, including tonight. But some things about a board meeting. This is all contained within board policy and be legal. What is a meeting? As you're well aware, quorum in any form or fashion where school business is discussed. So Mark was kind of using the example that a lot of times, unfortunately, we can see the meeting after the meeting, the thing that happens in the parking lot, the walking quorum kind of things, but a quorum in any form or fashion where school business is discussed. And that school business is the most important thing. You all talked about going to conferences. That can sometimes be things where you feel like you have to post an agenda for the conference or something like that. But the key term is the school business. The board can act only with a majority vote of members present in a legally called meeting. Again, this is the exceptions to these types of things needing to be posted, or what is considered a board meeting as social functions, training where no school business is discussed, unless it is incidental to the event, much like a conference. And then, most importantly, within a meeting, we saw this earlier with the action items you guys went forward with. That was a fantastic process. It's the way it was supposed to be. It's the way it's supposed to be. You all were very well aware of what was happening, what was going on with that recommendation, where it was going to go, how it even needed to evolve in the future. That was one of the questions you all had, is okay, what does this look like next? And went as smooth as it's supposed to be. But the superintendent always has the right to give a recommendation on any vote. Only on the items on the agenda to be discussed. And then, of course, now we have the notice of the meetings, which has changed a lot with this legislative update. It used to be the 72 hours at a designated place, but now we have the 3 business days. And if you've sat through your legislative update, depending on where you've had that at, who you've listened to, it's actually
Still a point of contention.
It's still a point of contention. It really is. We had a training at the service center with our superintendents in the room, and we had 2 lawyers from the exact same firm that set 3 or 4 cubicles apart, and they had a different interpretation of what the 3 days before the business meeting meant. So there's not truly been a clarification on that. So what we've had to say, honestly, is you have to rely upon the district's own legal opinion on that as far as the posting of the 3 business days. But I kind of let you know with this legislative session, and I know I've heard that the policy updates are now starting to roll out from TASB, and it's considered one of the biggest policy updates that's ever happened. And there is still so much that has to work through this process coming out of this legislative session. The specificity of agenda items must inform public of deliberations to take place, the pending actions, and then inform, of course, the majority of board members. As a body corporate, what are some functions that the board can do? It may acquire and hold real property, sue and be sued, receive requests and donations or other monies of funds coming legally into their hands, much like the earlier action items. They have the exclusive power and duty to oversee the management of the schools of the district. Mark was highlighting what this actually looked like for that relationship between the board and the superintendent. All powers and duties not specifically delegated by statute to the Texas Education Agency or the State Board of Education reserved for the board. NTA may not substitute its judgment for the lawful exercise of the powers and duties of the trustees. And that again is out of policy. So this kind of goes into, and this almost is what you're talking about, possibly Commissioner's Court. But we've seen this in the last few years. One of the things that's a misconception about boards, and we'll finish up with this, but and you talked about the limited number of public comment, but we've seen across the state of Texas what has happened. You've had a lot more of a public comment and almost a deliberative style, and this goes into what Dr. Poehler was talking about what we see in our federal government, what we see at the state government, these things that we see on the media and TV and Facebook, this idea of what's supposed to happen at a board meeting, that it's a deliberative body, when actually a board meeting is a meeting that is held in public. It's not a public meeting where it's deliberative and debate. The public can participate, but only through board policy and procedures. But this is a difficult conception because there's really nothing else that functions like this. The role of the school board of trustees members is frequently the most misunderstood within Texas communities because there's nothing else that's like it. It's much like, you know, as I told you, my main title or my main role at the service center is school finance. Well, there's nothing else that's like school finance anywhere. It doesn't function like anything else that we do, and this misconception has unfortunately led to some difficult situations for different school boards where this interaction, what that looks like, or even as a person, as we talked about, their perception of possibly entering a school board and working on a school board. Mark kind of highlighted this earlier, talking about that ethics topic of, you know, this idea of what that could look like for a person, but then once you enter onto the school board, you're just a member of a team, of a corporate body. Consistent behavior by the board members and a clear focus by the board team are perhaps the most significant tools for providing a degree of clarity, which you all highlighted over and over and over again as we went through the framework. You guys took that as a strength of your team. Some things about board meetings, they can highlight the function, and you guys highlighted this at the very beginning. How much time you spend in board meetings? Do you have the 5-hour, 6-hour marathons that many of us you might have highlighted that some of y'all walked into when you had 15 board members running for seats? We see that. But then also what happens in this first section, the time that's spent in board meetings, what usually gets lost very quickly is the second question. Now we talked about what's best for students. It's even in your the logo for the district at the top of your website. I used it at the beginning of the slide, so it's taken directly from your website is, you know, what's best for kids. But what can happen with that first one can then be an issue with the second one, because how many lives are impacted by the decisions you make in the board meetings? The number of students that you have, the number of teachers. And a lot of times, like I said, what gets lost in that first one then makes for the second one is almost can be forgotten. And then how do you protect the sanctity of your meetings? What are some thoughts? Because you talked about this as a strength, the sanctity of meetings, the way that you're working. What do you think drives that the most? What do you think contributes to that the most?
Respect.
Okay, very good. Going back to those ethics. Very true.
Well, I think one thing is they share the agenda and the information ahead of time.
Mhm.
So if we have a question beforehand,
Mhm.
you can go to the superintendent and get the answers you
Yeah,
need
very
to
true.
make your decision.
Yeah, very important. Because in fact, that's one of the things that we will highlight sometimes when we're doing these trainings. I mean, you're exactly going into what's in, reviewing the board packet prior to the meeting, prepared for the meeting, prepared for the business, the agenda that's going to, or the agenda of the business that's going to take place.
And our board president is good about reminding the public
Mhm.
that that's what we do, why our meetings go so smoothly.
Mhm. Yeah, because that can also be a very difficult thing for a community member to come in here, right? You guys just spent how much money and you did hire, I mean, you did staff, you did donations, you did like this, right? But that is effective. It shows the preparation, it shows your understanding when these action items come up. By the time it becomes an action item, again, that's that misconception that we have because things do not function like that. You're expected to see somebody take the floor and then somebody has to yield their time and all this other stuff that we see on these committee hearings and everything. So, no, very, very true.
I think that all of us being, Christians, our decisions are rooted in love and obviously respect, as Rhonda said. But I think that ultimately we really do want what's best for the kids. We're not trying to push something that we feel personally is against something that we would do for our own kids.
Yeah. Well, and it goes into that idea of, you could have a split vote. You could have a 5-2, you could have a 4-3, but once that decision is made, you move forward with
Yeah.
what that may be. I don't know if y'all have had some different votes that are like that, but that does happen. You have to vote for something that you believe in or what you think is best in the best interest of whatever it may be. But then once that selection is made, you move forward as a group.
I can't recall, but in the 5 years that I've been on, everything was always unanimous except one thing that was 5-2, and that was about the hair. And that's the only thing that I can recall that was a 5-2 vote.
And that's not a bad or good. Right? That's not a reflection of what is a functioning team or not. It actually isn't. What is a reflection of a functioning team of 8 is how that team of 8 moves forward after those.
How they respond.
Yeah.
After that 5-2 vote, regardless of how you voted, we as a board decided to do this.
Well, I think, and the one time that we've had a 5-2 vote, I think we all felt good that everybody got their opinion in. It was respected, and it's going to be 5-2. It's just that's the opinion. Nobody's trying to rock the boat.
When you don't have anybody on the board that has an agenda that's just fighting for something like a bulldog, that protects the sanctity of your meeting because you're focused on what needs to be focused on, not on what they're all about.
No, very true. And you all have, y'all have guiding principles. I mean, you have that's just, they're there for you all as to where you want the school to move forward to. Yes, ma'am.
But ever so often, there might be somebody who asks the superintendent some random question, and the superintendent is caught unaware and not prepared, and unfortunately, that person just goes deeper and deeper just to kind of embarrass the superintendent.
No, it can happen. It can.
Yeah,
No,
it does.
and those are meant as, we use the term all the time as educators, as got you. That's what it's meant to
it's
be,
what it
is
was.
we didn't understand this detail. And there's stuff that's happening in school. There's so many things that happen even today that will happen the rest of the week, but that can happen. And that's why, asking questions ahead of time and making sure that if there is something that the superintendent does need to come in and present to you all, because there is something that is out there that you all need more information about so that you can serve better as board members and as a governing body, that's understandable. But that's the opportunity to be able to present that, or the answer of, we're going to have to learn more about this. And
We
can discuss in the
often
future.
talk amongst ourselves. We marvel at some of the things that we hear that are going on. One of the most recent things that just kind of blew my mind is that a school board south of here on I-35 near a big water park called New Braunfels.
No names.
Literally shut down all their libraries because they had a big amount of just confusion on the school board about what the role is supposed to be. And that's where we are lucky to have a superintendent who, we have a list of books, and we know that books are becoming more and more and more
Hot topic.
under scrutiny.
Very much so.
But we have librarians, and we have a superintendent. It's not our business to sit and go through every book. Now, a lot of us are parents. If we see a book on the list that we don't like, we can tell the principal, and the principal says your child won't have to check that out. But so sometimes it gets way, way out of balance. We're just going to close all the libraries until we have an absolute understanding of. I have no desire to read 355 books.
There are situations that are out there. I mean, it's just, yes, and it's, there are many things that contribute to it, and I think you all have highlighted a lot of those. And and we see that where it's just a reaction, and what comes of that? What's the next step? And it's hard to read what even the next step can be out of something like that. But no, sir, I understand, and we've done the legislative training, Dr. Parsons. I do that often, and seeing your action item, that y'all took tonight to do that. There are some places where that can be
It would have been a long discussion.
An action item. I mean, let's just say an action item. Okay, and again, it highlights why I enjoy the opportunities that I have to come out here and be in your district or at your district or even at these board meetings, because it is very evident the things that you're doing for your students. It's obviously always evident. But even, again, we saw a quick 3 action items, but that highlighted a lot for you all. As you said, the community doesn't get to see that. And even for us, we're like, yeah, that's fantastic, that's perfect. But that's hard for a community member to come in and understand exactly what it takes to be at that point. It is something to be thankful for. It is, without a doubt. So some final things here that we've been talking about: staying focused on the agenda items, keep discussion of items relevant, solicit input from all members, listen respect to other members' comments. Again, you can see we use these items as training items, and they've been examples for you all tonight. If that highlights anything. Vote your convictions. We talked about that. Support the vote regardless of your personal convictions as well. So as team members, how do you set yourselves and each other up for success? The communication of board member to board member. Y'all have highlighted that this evening. I've heard that talked. Y'all have given some examples. Even the board member to the superintendent to board members. Y'all not only use specific examples, you even highlighted again that that's something that you're very proud of, that works very well for your district. Anything more to comment about this slide here? I feel like we've talked so much about these things, but you guys were ahead of the curve on so much of this stuff, right? So collaboration between board and superintendent. Most importantly, advocate for the high achievement of all district students. Create and support connections with community organizations to provide community-wide support for the high achievement of all district students. Talked about the bond examples, the process that you all will be going through, and the expectation of that. Provide educational leadership for the district, including leadership in developing the district vision statement and long-range educational plan. Establish district-wide policies and annual goals that are tied directly to the district's vision statement and long-range educational plans. And support the professional development of principals, teachers, and other staff. Y'all actually, I remember us discussing that about for our teachers. And then periodically evaluate board and superintendent leadership, governance, and teamwork, much like we have reviewed tonight. Most important, the number 1 priority through code is the Board of Trustees in an independent school district shall provide oversight regarding student academic achievement and strategic leadership for maximizing student performance. Y'all highlighted this. What is the number 1 priority for the district? Why does Gatesville ISD exist? Why does any independent school district exist? Student outcomes. I feel like I've been here 3 hours. You've probably heard me say that before. So again, we appreciate y'all having us out for this evening. I always enjoy it very much so. I can't say it enough. So thanks for everything that you all do. Thanks for having us again. Parsons, anything to wrap up?
We appreciate it very much, and we wish y'all a great rest of the school